Hello everybody, my name is Jeff H. Malum and welcome to this week's video, which is a continuation of last week's video. So if you haven't seen the video from 7 days before, which is part 1 of this, please go ahead and watch this first because it doesn't make any sense to watch the second part before the first part. In this two-part video series, I am ranking all of the obligatory reading that I had to do for university. This includes only the novels, the plays, and some exceptions. I will obviously not include all the poems, short stories, movies, video games, songs, and so on, because that would be an endless list. Now, before I start with the second part, I will have to say that something very funny happened right now, because I had to take a 1-hour break between capturing the first part and the second part now, and in that time, so in that break, I received an email from a university professor who told me that there will be an optional seminar, an optional module next semester, which also again includes British and American literature. And he told me the topic of it, and I'm very, very excited about this. So there will be 4 to 5 more novels that I will have to read for university in the next semester. I will not tell you yet what the topic is though, but I'm very excited. What does that mean for you? Why am I telling you this? Because I believe that my English reading list would be over, which is why I started capturing this video. But now, since it isn't, there will be a third part coming in probably like half a year after the next semester. And then I will, relocate those novels that I had to read in the next semester into this ranking that we have been doing last video and this video. So let's get started where we have left off. This is our ranking so far. At the bottom there is Wilhelm by Wolfram von Eschenbach, a German medieval book thing that is allowed to be down there. And at the top, there's currently The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. The last book that we dealt with in the first part is Maria Stuart by Friedrich Schiller. And I will start now with something that is very important to me, but not in a very positive sense, to be very honest. We will be starting this video with something I have been talking about like 100 times before in my videos. So if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you know that I dislike Hamlet and that I dislike William Shakespeare in general. Now, first of all, this is a very thick version because this is not just the book. First of all, it's a bilingual version. So there's one English page, then one German page, and there is a huge appendix. So the book only is around that thick, and then since it's German-English, probably Hamlet is only like this. So it's not very long, even though it looks very long right here. But I have to say that I dislike it. It is one of Shakespeare's plays, and I dislike Shakespeare's plays. I can't really say why, but I just don't have fun with the way he writes. I dislike his writing. I dislike his stories. I dislike the reasons why he is so popular and not other people from the Renaissance era are, more popular because of Shakespeare. I just dislike Hamlet a lot and Shakespeare in general. However, I don't dislike everything of Shakespeare. He has some texts, especially his sonnets, that I would say are good to some extent, and I think there are reasons why he is so popular and so important, or considered to be so important. But I completely disagree that Hamlet is one of the important and good works. I dislike his plays. I have to say that I haven't read Macbeth or King Lear, which are considered to be very good plays by Shakespeare. I will definitely do so in the future, but right now I don't feel like reading any more Shakespeare than I have to, and I had to for university. And I will put it very far below. But I'm not sure right now if I would put it above the fan fiction by Tom Stoppard or below. But I think due to this whole construction of the characters, which I like about Hamlet, I would put it slightly above Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, but still it will stay down there, somewhere down there in the ranking. It will not go far up, not really. And to, well, be done with this, to put this behind us, I will continue right away with Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, the other play by Shakespeare which I had to read for university. I don't think I have to say much more about A Midsummer Night's Dream because I said everything about Shakespeare right now that I wanted to say, and basically everything that I just said counts for A Midsummer Night's Dream as well, only that I had slightly more fun reading A Midsummer Night's Dream. I still didn't like it at all, but I would say I personally would consider it a better play than Hamlet still, so I will just put it down here above Hamlet, but just like Hamlet, it will stay down there. Okay, now to be a little more positive, I have decided to continue with something that I actually liked and that I actually liked a lot. And it is actually an exception to the list because it is not a novel and it's not a play, but it is a collection of short stories. And since I had to read all the short stories in this collection, I still considered it fitting into the list, and I just wanted to be honest. And this is the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. It is one of the short story collections by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle about Sherlock Holmes. It is as thick as a short novel, I would say, but it is actually 11 short stories in this collection, which are all independent except for that they all deal with Sherlock Holmes. Still, I felt like I could include it, like a novel that consists of 11 independent chapters. So, yeah, it's okay to be in here. Now, my connection to Sherlock Holmes has actually been present since I can, think. Because I've always been in contact to Sherlock Holmes. Well, not to Sherlock Holmes himself, but to this theme, this story, this character. Because as a child, I already started playing the video games by with Sherlock Holmes. I think I played all of them except for the newest one. And I've seen the TV series from the 60s, the British one. I think all Sherlock Holmes series are British ones, whatever. And I've seen clips of the Robert Downey Jr. adaptations as well as the Benedict Cumberbatch adaptations, but I'm not too much of a big fan of the new adaptations. I like the 60 series a lot. I like the video games a lot. I like everything that I've heard about Sherlock Holmes, but until I was in university, I actually never read an actual Sir Conan Arthur Doyle short story of Sherlock Holmes. So I was very excited when I had to read through all of these. And I was very excited and positively excited that I noticed I also very, very much like the short story. So I did not just like the video games in the series, I just like Sherlock Holmes in general. And this one, made me plan on reading all of the Sherlock Holmes stories one day. I have them all, but I didn't have the time yet to read through all of them. Now, I'm struggling because it will definitely be somewhere up here, but I'm not too sure if I would put it above The Catcher in the Rye or below. But I think I would put it above The Catcher. Yeah. So Sherlock Holmes up here for now. Next, we have something that I can't really say much about because I kind of rushed through it, like with Robinson Crusoe, because I just had to read it for an exam, and I think I skipped a lot as well, but I plan on rereading it because the parts that I read actually, well, I like them. And this is Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. Now, the reason why I want to reread it is because I am a huge fan of Victorian literature. Everything that is from Victorian times kind of, yeah, I like it all the time. And this is why I'm actually a little sad that I didn't read Oliver Twist, well, as closely as I read other texts from the ranking, which is actually why I think I should exclude it from the ranking. Because I believe if I read Oliver Twist with entertainment from start to finish, while paying attention, it would be somewhere up here. Right now, I would probably put it somewhere in the middle, but also because I don't remember much. But this is because of the way I read it and not because of the book. So yeah, let's not include it in the reading and in the ranking, sorry. So let's actually continue with Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. A book that has an interesting structure of this, this letter-ish thing. And this version that I have is formatted so weirdly. Also, to speed this up a little, let's not talk too much about it. I can say that I liked Frankenstein a lot. But I have to say that I was a little disappointed because, I think everybody has heard about Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster before. And this is why I expected probably more from it, because it is such a classic and inspired also so many horror movies and stuff. So I thought this was more like a bloody horror story, probably. And, well, it was gothic at parts, definitely, and I like the gothic. But still, I was a little disappointed because I just expected too much. Still, I enjoyed it a lot. And I would probably put it... Where would I put it? Somewhere over here. I would put it above Beowulf, but I'm not sure if I would put it above Faust. But now that I think about it, I think I would put it above Faust. But not above Momo. I forgot that Momo is here as well. So let's have it like this. Looks good. Next up, we have two more German books. Let's start with the one that I had to read for the children and youth literature seminar as well. It is this one. It is called Mein Sommer mit Moocs, which basically translates to My Summer with Moocs, and Moocs is a name which derives from well, a rhetorical figure, basically meaning silence. Someone being silent. Let's say it like that. So it is about two children that are starting to get more adult, but they are, well, not having that many friends, but they find each other and then they have a nice summer. It's a children's book, but it has also many readings for adults. And it is very short, and I read it in one go. I just, one evening, laid on my bed, started reading, finished reading, continued my day. Since it's a children's book that allows for different readings, also for adults, but not as much as Momo, it is actually hard for me to put it into the ranking list. So I just have to go by feeling, and by feeling, I think it works for what it is. It has a cool structure, many funny and nice features. I would put it above The Circle, but still below Beowulf. I think that's fine. and I will relocate this to here. Okay, and the other German book that is up next is a very thick one. It is called Die Blechtrommel by Günter Grass, which basically translates to the tin drum. And it is okay, because it introduces some features which I don't want to say right now because they would spoil the end, and maybe you are interested in reading the book. It is basically about, well, someone speaking about life. But there are some very, very, very interesting things about the narration that are only becoming clear close to the end of the story, which made it a very fun read for me. But still, I felt like it was way too long and very, very dry at parts. So I would rank it worse than The Circle, but more of an enjoyable read than Robinson Crusoe. And now it's starting to get troublesome because this is actually getting too big. But I will figure out something. Also, I just realized that I'm lacking a book. One of my books is missing because I think it is also at my girlfriend's right now. A book that I had to read for university, so I will just speak about it now and use this in here. It is called The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Spark. I think a female Scottish author. And it is basically about a teacher. It's just a story of a teacher who is in the prime of her life and until, she isn't anymore. And it is a bittersweet read that I liked a lot. It's actually a short novel that I recommend to many people. But I also know that it's polarizing a lot because there are people who either like it a lot or who dislike it a lot, from my experience at least. But I was one of the ones that I really liked it a lot, to be very honest. So I would even go as far as putting it up here, still below The Catcher in the Rye, but I liked it more than William Golding's Lord of the Flies. So I will have it up here, and this is Muriel Spark's The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Now it's getting interesting, at least for me, because the next one is called Die Traumnovelle by Arthur Schnitzler. It basically means the dream novella. Very, very short one, a novella, short novel. And it's basically about a night and a dream and a journey of a man. It is about a couple that is not in a very happy relationship until probably they are. And actually, it's actually very blank and blunt, but I don't know why. But the way Arthur Schnitzler writes has some magic for me. It's actually not a German book. I think it's an Austrian book, but I don't know. I honestly, I love this book, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I know many people who dislike it and thought, yeah, I have the same critique as you, but then I dislike it. You have some critique. Why do you like it? And I'm like, I don't know. I just liked it. So, short story, a long story short, over there, but not on top. Here's also an honorable mention. This is all poetry by Chaucer. I had to read lots of it, and I'm not a big Chaucer fan, but I just wanted to mention that I had to read lots for university, and I have it here. Goodbye. Instead, let's talk about a book of similar length and similar style. It's also a little like Beowulf, a very long and never-ending poem. It is called Paradise Lost by John Milton. Paradise Lost is basically a re-narration of the Bible, and it really never ends. It is extremely long for a poem, which I didn't like about it, but it is, from all the texts that I read from the Renaissance period of British literature, the one that I enjoyed the most. This kind of retelling the Bible story really is interesting. I really loved the way this was structured, the way the story was structured, and everything that happened. I just disliked that it was a poem, and this also makes it an exception basically to the list. I still wanted to include it because yes, it's a poem, but seriously, this is a novel, a novel, poem, novel. It belongs in here. It also belongs not too far below. It is what, in my opinion, should be read of the Renaissance period instead of Shakespeare. So I will definitely put it above Shakespeare and probably somewhere over here. Let's put it above Dave Eggers' Circle, below The Summer with Moocs, and let's have it like that. Now, we have to change some things or else this is gonna kill me. And I have an idea. Okay, so for now, actually when I look at all this stuff, I believe that this lower half is not gonna change anymore. So I will put everything until the circle away for now. I will get it back later. And this should work. Okay, to not make this an hour-long second part, let's actually rush through the final books because there aren't many left. And let's start with one that is probably a little less known. It is called Mrs. Caliban, by Rachel Ingalls. This is also more like a novella, a very short story about, well, a woman falling in love with a creature. It is an American story. It is a very surreal story. I also had it as part of a American surrealism seminar, and I have to say that I enjoyed it so much. It is very, very different, especially from all those books that we had here. Many classics, many whatever, but this is more contemporary, and this is so weird, but so weirdly, so oddly enjoyable. Since it's so very small, I will not say much more about it, but instead I want to tell you, go read it. It's a recommendation. Go read it. And I would put it above Muriel Sparks' The Prime of Miss Jim Brodie, but still below The Catcher in the Rye, which I liked a lot. Next, we have a thicker book. It is called Oryx Crake by Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood, probably you know her. She also wrote The Handmaid's Tale. And it is a, well, thicker book. It is a novel, the first part of a novel series, actually, I think, of a trilogy, I believe. I haven't read the other two, though. And it is a more like a post-apocalyptic story. Atwood herself describes it as a speculative fiction, and I understand why. So this shows, a post-apocalyptic world, but not like The Walking Dead or Backfire. It doesn't show a zombie-infested world, but something very different, which I don't want to spoil right now. I think it is a recommended read by me. However, it takes a lot of patience for the story to start and for, anything to be understood. So I had my troubles with the novel, but in the end, I was happy that I read it, because especially towards the end, it got better, way better. Still, I probably wouldn't read it again So for now, what do I have here? This is Faust. Okay, I would put it below Faust, but still above Beowulf, and still, yeah, still quite far up on the list. Then we have another classic. This is by Jane Austen, called Sense and Sensibility. And while I have to say that I'm not too much of a fan of romantic story, and with romantic I mean especially stories from the Romanticism literary period of British literature, except for the Gothic counterpart, which I like a lot, but this normal romantic stream is something that I always had trouble with, and Jane Austen's story definitely belonged to that part of Romanticism, to that side of the coin. And I would still say that from the stories that I know from Romanticism, I would say that Sense and Sensibility is one of the stronger ones, if not one of the strongest ones. Here, it doesn't happen too often, but here I would say the movie is more enjoyable than the book, to be honest. But still, it is an okay read, and I would put it right below Oryx and Crake that we just had. So also something rather in the middle. And now we only have 3 things left, and I can already say that I have a positive connection to all of them. The first is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone. The very first one, I have it here in the Ravenclaw edition, because back then I believed I was a Ravenclaw, but now I don't agree anymore because I'm a Slytherin. However, that isn't very important. You can say what you want. Harry Potter is a classic that everybody probably has read, or at least heard of, especially because of the movies nowadays. And I have to say that I'm that kind of guy who watched the movies before reading the books, and even until now I have not read all of the books. My mother read the 6th book to me when I was a child, and I read the first book, but I didn't read any of the others. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 are still unknown to me as books. I have them over there and I plan on reading them. But yeah, the first one, it is obviously a very good book that has started an era. It is troublesome nowadays from many perspectives. There are some things in the story that are not as good as they were perceived back then, I would say. And also there's some trouble with the author and so on. But still, it's undeniably a very good novel, which I would have to put somewhere up here, and I'm not sure where exactly, but I believe I would put it on place 3 for now, but I would still put Arthur Schnitzler's Traumnovelle, Dream Novella, and Sherlock Holmes above it. The final 2 books are by the same author. The first one is a short one, a novella, Animal Farm by George Orwell. A book that I've really enjoyed. This was more or less an optional read that I chose to be obligatory, let's say it like that, without further explanation. But I liked it a lot. What, however, I disliked is that it is, a story from modernist times where every page looks like that. It is a block of text on every page. So even though this is less than 100 pages, it reads longer than William Golding's Lord of the Flies, which is 300 pages long, at least for me. Still, I liked it a lot. I love the way George Orwell writes. I love the way he uses metaphors and stuff. I really liked it a lot, and I will have to put it somewhere up here. I would say slightly below The Catcher in the Rye, because I enjoyed The Catcher in the Rye a little more. However, it's different for the very, very final book of this reading list. And this, of course, is George Orwell's 1984. This is an amazing book. It is an amazing read, an amazing dystopian novel that everybody on this world should have read, in my opinion. And actually, it is more important again today than it ever was, because so many important things are said in there about world and world politics that should be considered, that should be known to anybody, and that should not be forbidden in certain countries, because especially for the people in those countries it is important. So it's easy for me right now to just lay it on here and then we're good. So this is it, the ranking of my university reading list. This is it from bottom, Wolfram von Eschenbach-Willeharn, to all the way to the top, George Orwell's 1984. We also have those novels as excluded novels, and we have this honorable, huge fucking mention, should be there. These are the novels and plays and short story collections that I had to read for university. As you can see, it's a lot, and I'm actually kind of proud that I got through all of them. However, well, not all of them. And I'm very excited that there are still novels for me to cover and other texts. Additionally to those texts, I read like probably 200 or 300 poems and probably 100 short stories, and watched uncountable movies, listened to lots of songs, played through video games, all of that for university, because all of those are considered texts in that context. And I'm very excited that I still have one more module in German literature with more contemporary novels, and also one optional module in English and American literature, which I'm very excited for. So you can definitely stay tuned for a third part, probably within the next, well, let's say within the next year. That's easier for me to do. And yeah, we will pick up right where we left off right here. But that's it for today's video. Please share your ideas, your opinions, if you have read through any of these or multiple of these, or if you want to make your own ranking, if you agree or if you completely disagree with my ranking, just let me know in the comment section below. And also tell me, if you have studied something similar, what did you have to read for university? What do you think is missing? I know that a lecture that I will still have will deal with Ulysses by James Joyce, which is also considered a must-read, a classic must-read. And there are still many, many books left, and I still have many, many books on my shelf that I didn't read. So, yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for staying, and read you all soon.